On July 27, 2022, eastern Kentucky experienced unprecedented flooding that affected 14 counties, killing 45 Kentuckians and displacing thousands more. The event was dubbed the 1,000-year flood, largely due in part to its improbability. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, a 1,000-year flood has a 0.1% chance of happening in any given year. For eastern Kentucky, the flooding on July 27th was not the first instance of major flooding in the region, but it was by far the deadliest and most destructive, according to accounts from the Lexington Herald-Leader. 14 to 16 inches of rain fell during a 5-day period, with the majority of the rainfall occurring on the night of July 27th. Some Kentuckians woke submerged in water, with little to no time for evacuation, and were subsequently forced to seek higher ground. 17-year-old Chloe Adams placed her dog in a plastic container and floated herself to the top of a neighbor's home. Randy Sturgill, a Colson native, stood atop a neighbor's fence for several hours until he could be rescued by a human chain made up of his neighbors. Two parents in the Montgomery community, Amber Smith and Riley Noble, managed to climb a roof with their 4 children in tow before the structure washed out beneath them, sweeping the children away. On July 28th, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear issued an executive order declaring a state of emergency due to severe flooding in eastern Kentucky. The order activated the state's Emergency Operations Center and allowed the General of Kentucky to mobilize the National Guard. Rescuers set out to find victims among the floodwater and debris. For those displaced by the floods, temporary shelters were set up in churches, with some local residents sleeping in church pews. Among the damaged homes and businesses, Whitesburg's Media Arts and Education Center, Appalshop, was destroyed. Its archives, which held the largest regional archive of Appalachian history, suffered heavy damages. According to the Independent Tribune, 5 1,000-year floods occurred between August 1st and July 28th in the United States. Eastern Kentucky itself is no stranger to flooding in the region. Its previous record-holding flood occurred in 1957, with 10 to 14 inches of rain in some areas. The response to the flooding in eastern Kentucky consists largely of blame for climate change, blame for coal companies, and blame for Kentuckians for not living on higher ground. Joel Pett, a cartoonist for the Herald-Leader, published this image in the Lexington Herald-Leader just days after the floods in eastern Kentucky. Kentuckians like Drew Richardson, a Letcher County native, sent an email in response. Did you think of how this would make those of us who were affected feel? Did you think of the way that this could impact the ways in which we are treated during recovery efforts? These are rhetorical because it is clear that you did not, or you would have had the common decency not to publish such a thing. Pett later added a response to the cartoon's page. I genuinely regret that, to some readers, I may have added another layer of hardship to an already unthinkably difficult time. 6 months later, affected counties remain in recovery. Isom IGA, a local grocery store in Isom, Kentucky, recently reopened in the first week of April. Most eastern Kentucky residents are no longer living in tents, but many still remain in FEMA-provided RVs and campers. Schools like Whitesburg Elementary have welcomed back students in the hopes of reestablishing normalcy, but reminders of the flood remain. Above all, a housing crisis continues to plague the region. Reports by the Ohio River Valley Institute said that it will cost $450 million to rebuild housing in flooded areas. Senator Mitch McConnell has promised $300 million in grants to the Disaster Recovery Program, which does not meet the amount required by latest estimates. Today, the fate of eastern Kentucky remains largely in the hands of lawmakers and state leaders.